We take you back to the Accra College of Physicians and Surgeons, where the presidential election is yet to begin, but there's currently a question and answer session ongoing where members of the Normalization Committee, the FIFA representative, and other top officials are answering questions about the future of football in Ghana. Let's join them now.
Delegation, there must be some compensation to just play a couple of matches within 10 months and your finances are being determined by a number of clubs that are determined. I think it's a great concern. Let's look at it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, members. I think this is a proposal from the NC. They didn't want the incoming administration to be saddled with court disputes. That's why this proposal was brought up. However, if members think it should be shelved or it should be priced, whatever, can we have a motion move and second so that we can move on?
No, we should be very clear about exactly what they want to do. In view of the fact that the agenda for today is elections, in view of the fact that we have, as of now, not amended provisions of Article 8, Clause 3 and 5 of the GFA regulations, I move that this proposal to increase the number from 16 to 8 because of a pending court case will lead there to be setting bad precedent. And since you set a bad precedent, it will lead to bad precedent and lead to chaos. In order to create a situation when Brekumasna is last, you also go to court. I move that this proposal should be shelved for us to do the elections. Thank you.
Any counter?
During the last Congress on the adoption of the new statutes, we made a lot of compromises because we looked at the bigger picture and we decided not to be overly technical and legalistic and insist on our rights. Sometimes insisting on your right is the wrong thing to do. We need to look at the bigger picture sometimes. I think that the proposal from the NC, from the point of view of looking at the bigger picture, from a common sense point of view, is something that we need to consider. I move a motion for us to accept the proposal that we increase the Premier League for the 2019-2020 season from 16 clubs to 18 clubs to accommodate King Faisal and Accra Great Olympics. And if we're able to do that, we also reinstate St. Mirren in the Division 1 and also get a club to replace King Faisal in their zone. I move for the adoption of this particular motion.
Thank you.
I second the motion. I'm Justice Boyson.
Second which motion? Mr. Randy Abe's motion.
Second the motion. Randy Abe.
Oh,
that we should consider it.
Asante Daniel, I also second the motion. Nia Salamina.
Nia Salamina.
Randy Abe. What Randy Abe just said.
Okay. Delegates, you are going to vote, but let me say this to expand on that, on what Mr. Abe has said, and he has reflected the sentiments of the NC for which we have proposed this in front of you. If we can, our desire as the NC is to leave a GFA bereft of any litigations. You got a new set of statutes, not perfect, but better than before. It is not the end of the world of Ghana football. Improvements can be built in as you go along. But every once in a while, it helps to say, let me be less technical. Let me be more embracing. Let me be a bit flexible so that we can accommodate the promise of a better tomorrow. So let's think and start afresh, clean slate, 18 club Premier League. All litigations are put aside.
And you're welcome back from the Accra College of Physicians and Surgeons. And Hans Mensah-Andor is with us in studio. Hans, very interesting proceedings going on at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. Even before the election begins, we are seeing a decision being made about Alhaji Guse's King Faisal.
Absolutely. There are still a lot of other issues yet to be, dealt with. And even before voting begins, we can have a situation where amendments can be made to the FA statutes and implemented to ensure the smooth running of the electoral process. Remember, the entire process is guided by the statutes of the Ghana Football Association. And so it's important that several outstanding issues need to be resolved in order to ensure the smooth running of the entire process. So, of course, it has to do with the number of clubs in terms of even the delegates who are going to be voting on the day of. That cannot, simply be implemented in a vacuum.
Right.
It has to come from the statute, and that is what, they are trying to deal with at this moment.
Okay, thank you very much, Hans. We'll leave it to you now for you to take us through the rest of the Congress. Of course, we'll be back at midday to bring you Joy News today. My name is Daniel Daze. Stay with us.
And of course, it's still our coverage of the Ghana Football Association presidential elections. We've got 5 men and 1 woman vying to take over Ghana football's top job. Who becomes the next Ghana Football Association president? That is a question we'll be answering by the day's end. We'll take a break here and we'll switch over or cross over to the College of Physicians and Surgeons and bring you more. Welcome back to our coverage of the Ghana Football Association's presidential elections. Will be going on at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. Stay with us all through the day as we bring you up to speed on how this one is going to unfold. But currently, some deliberations ongoing, and it has to do primarily because there hasn't been promotions from the Division 1 and demotions from the Premier League, which creates a problem in terms of the representation in the number of delegates from the 2 blocks. And so various proposals are being tabled, and of course they are still deliberating as to how they are going to do, what they are going to do about it. One proposal is to have 18 clubs for the Premier League side, which would mean that, instead of 16, we'll have 18 for the Premier League. But some disagreement on that particular proposal. Let's take you back and find out more on this development.
Okay, so we will need to show by hands those who are in favor of the... Okay, do we have any counter to the proposal? Okay, once there's no counter, it's unanimous. Okay, so, Mr. President, we move on to the next agenda. Thank you. The next agenda is the 2019-2020 football season, we sent out a proposal indicating that the league should kick off on the 3rd of November. But looking at the situation now, it may not be possible. So the NCT...
Please, order. Can we have order in the room? Everybody seated. Let's get organized. Congress is in session, please.
But looking at the situation now, we are aware that starting the league on 3rd November is not feasible. So the NC is proposing that it be pushed back to 2 weeks so that the league will start on 17th of November, if members agree.
That will have been done by then. The new executives will be in office. So the new executives will seek the support of Congress and will take a decision on that.
Okay. Then that's fine. So, any seconded? Okay. Any counter? No. So it's assumed that the proposal is shelved. Mr. President, I hand over the session to you to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Sante. Thank you, delegates. Before we move to the next item, I want to call on Madame Odofolinote to give us a few remarks. Now, fashionista, she has to go to the mic.
Members from FIFA, members of the Normalization Committee, present, past, our dear football people, our members who we love dearly and will miss, members of the media who I personally will not miss. Good morning to all of you. It gives me great joy that over a year of good service of restoring Ghana football to normalcy, it is to choose one person to lead us. We, the Normalization Committee, were given a mandate by FIFA to run the day-to-day activities of the Football Association, also review the statutes, which we have done, and you have gladly and thankfully adopted. And now we have the last bit of our mandate, which is to organize the elections. We're halfway through, and today, hopefully, we will finish our mandates. I want to thank all of you for enduring us. I know that it's been a love-hate relationship, and I hope that moving forward, hopefully we will not have to deal with each other again. We're extremely grateful for the support that you've given us in the 1 year, and we are truly grateful. We also want to thank the Government of Ghana for its support, the Parliamentary Select Committee, GALCA, our members, and also the Sports Ministry. The time has come today for us to elect the new leader of the Ghana Football Association. All I want to say to you this morning, delegates, is that the decision you make today, remember that you will live with it for the next 4 years, so choose wisely. And to the candidates, honestly, your campaign has been impressive. Honestly, if I had the power, I'd say all of you should go. We'll have like a presidential, I don't know what we'll call that. Unfortunately, the statutes I helped to write says otherwise. It's only unfortunate one person can't be elected. I can assure you today that all arrangements, as you can see, are in place for the elections. And I want to further assure delegates and the candidates that with this election, it will be fair and transparent. There will be no kululu. The results you get is the results you voted for. Thank you, and hopefully you will not see me again. Goodbye. No. Then I need the regulation.
Nobody will see you again.
Yeah, let him come. Thank you, Na. Thank you very much. Now we are about to enter to the real reason why we are here. And we have 6 competent, capable football people who have given themselves up. We want to give each of them 3 minutes to come to the stage, and it is not compulsory. If you don't want to deliver any last-minute message, it's fine. But those of you who want to do that, you have 3 minutes, come to the stage and say your final submission to the delegates. We'll go by the draw. The number 1 guy was Brother Kate Okreku, so you will be first to come and deliver your message. Please. Let's.
Hello. Mr. President, members of the NC, reps from FIFA, my colleague aspirants, my cherished club owners, executives, my colleagues from the media, all protocol observed. Good morning. Good morning. I stand here today, colleagues, with a very simple message, a message of hope, a message to lead and to repair our dear football fraternity and take it to the promised land. Today, the Ghana Football Association is at its all-time crossroad. And we need a pragmatic leader, a leader with feasible policies, a leader with a good record of transporting or transforming our local products to be the target of envy, a leader that will ensure that our football industry embraces all the good principles of corporate governance, a leader who would ensure that we are able to change the bad perception that has completely shattered our desired products. In my bid to be the president for all, I wish to announce my decision to step down as the executive chairman of Dreams Football Club when I'm given the nod to lead our cherished industry. This is to ensure that I effectively and efficiently achieve the goal of igniting passion and creating wealth for everybody. My colleagues, all here means you. All here means our clubs. All here means our staff, not only at the regional level, but also at the national level. All means our players. All means our groundsmen. All means club owners, corporate Ghana. Colleagues, as you walk up the stairs or the stage to vote for the man to take us to the promised land, always remember one name, Kate Okreku. Thank you very much.
The next person is Brother George Afriye. Make your remarks.
Mr. President of the Normalization Committee and members of the Normalization Committee, old and new, our friends from FIFA, staffs of the FA, dear colleagues, football administrators, club owners, CEOs. It is a great honor for me to stand before you this morning and the privilege given to me by the Normalization Committee to address you. This morning, one doctor was delivering his keynote address. He said, our football is at the crossroads. And exactly so. You need a unifier. You need somebody who holds the institutional memory of this association. We need to revive our football. We need to redeem the dented image and tattered image of the Ghana Football Association. You need to restore our past glory. You humbly asking you to give me my vote. Give me your vote. As you are all aware, I was one time referred to as the Chief of Staff. I didn't just earn that name by chance. It was my collective interest of interactions with you as members of the football family. You bestowed on me the title Chief of Staff. It is simply because I hold no prisoner, I take no prisoner. No one single person can develop Ghana football. I need the collective responsibilities and ideas of you to win and to restore our football. I've picked the number 2 position, picked the rest of the positions. Football is a team sport. We need everybody on board to transform football. Vote for number 2, and together we can restore our football. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Afriye. Please. Hold you. Thank you, Mr. Afriye. The next candidate is Brother Fred Papo.
Mr. President, members of the Normalization Committee, and our dear visitors from FIFA, distinguished congressmen here, whom I fondly describe as the family of delegates. I thank you so much for this privilege and opportunity to stand here to offer myself in service to the redemption and restoration of football. Now more than ever is the time for us to rise up and lift our game from where it's falling. I've been chanting almost to the point of boredom about the 5 R's: redeem, restore, revive, recover, and repair. But as I stand here today, my message is simple. We've had an opportunity, a last lifeline, to do just that. How do we do it? Like the president of the Normalization Committee said, not only are we at the crossroads, but we are at the fork end. Just by virtue of the thumb, placed wrongly, we go left. Placed rightly, we go right to where we want to get to. My team and I have run a very steady campaign applying the highest principles of integrity, ethics, and respect to all contestants and then to delegates. The humility and the lack of flamboyance with which we've gone by this is simply out of respect for the institution of football and the need to send a message out to the rest of the world, the viewing world, that Ghana football is ready to turn a new path. I believe that humility should be rewarded. I shouldn't be punished for that. I have heard, and I thank you all, almost every single delegate saying, Fred is the best, but will others vote for him? The answer is that it's not a matter of others voting for Fred. It should be you, not Fred. You vote for Fred, leave the others to do the rest. If each and every single one of us goes in there and picks the best, we will not have any problem. Let me end with this analogy. If you have an ailment, and you get to know there's a medical specialist in town who is the best, and you also attest to that fact, will you say you will not go to that doctor or that specialist for cure? Simply because you are not sure if others are sick, they will go there? Definitely no. Ladies and gentlemen, my distinguished congressmen, please, as you take the step of destiny, the fate of Ghana football is in your hands. There are so many Ghanaians and the observing world out there who would have wished they had this opportunity, even for a fee, but they cannot. We are the privileged few. Let's exercise it rightly. Let's vote for number 3, Fred Papo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Papo. The next candidate is Sister Amanda Clinton. Order, please, 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 please. Congress is in session. Please, quiet, 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 please. Please, please, please. No conversations going like that. Ms. Clinton, you have the floor.
Thank you. Mr. President, members of the Normalization Committee, delegates and distinguished guests, my name is Amanda Akwokwo Clinton, and I am persuaded that you may vote for me today as President of the Ghana Football Association. As the last 13 years has demonstrated, it is not only football people who can solve the problems of football, otherwise they would have been solved perhaps, in terms of finances and in terms of reputation. Therefore, I'm going to be focusing my short message on the stranger that can stick to you close to a brother, because a lot of you consider me a stranger. However, I'm not a stranger because I would definitely look after your finances very well as the reputation of the Ghana Football Association. Furthermore, for some of you who are skeptical as to the fact that a non-member can even stand for this position, I would just like to assure you that sometimes a lack of conflict of interest comes about because I'm a non-member, and the fact that I would remain more transparent and more accountable. Under my administration, I would have 2 specialist project managers who are also very familiar with football to be my assistants and to work with me as I work with the EXCO and the subcommittees, because I know some of you are a bit concerned about how much football I know, but it can definitely get up to scratch even more, because at FIFA level and at CAS level, literally, senior management is sometimes recruited not through the ranks but outside, but they have a specialist skill which I say I can bring to this. As such, there would be no chance of manipulating me. This is going to be very short, but I need all the time I can get to convince you, I think. But ultimately, as you make your decision today, a lot of people have a lot of good policies, a lot of people are very strong. But when you select the president of the Ghana Football Association today, I want you to have 2 key words in mind. The first word is sacrifice, and the second word is servant leadership. For instance, sacrifice is, will that president pour themselves out as an offering in terms of national campaigns that are successful. As most of you know, I was involved with the Men's Gold customers cases. I've been involved with GFA last year, but successful. The second thing, please give me a bit of time, but the second thing I would like you to focus on is servant leadership. To serve instead of being served.
Please try to run up.
Okay. To serve instead of being served. So sacrifice and servant leadership. But in any case, I really hope my specialist knowledge in crisis management will distinguish me, because if you guys want more money and you want more reputation, you need a fresh face and you need everybody to buy into the vision of the new GFA. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clinton. Thank you. Please order. Thank you. The next candidate is Nana Yao Amponsa. Three minutes, please. 3 minutes.
Mr. President and members of the Normalization Committee of the Ghana Football Association, FIFA reps, welcome to Ghana, Akwaba. Members of the football family, the media, and Ghanaians. Due to the hectic campaigning, I slept quite late yesterday. I had a short sleep. But then I had a dream. And in my dream, I saw Ghana football beyond corruption. I saw Ghana football where there was so much sponsorship, clubs could not find anywhere to put it. I also saw Ghana football where there was inclusiveness. And I realized that in my dream, I had set up a reconciliation committee to bridge the divisiveness brought about by this election. I also saw a Ghana football where referees had gone to a venue and the home team, after losing, congratulated the referees. I also saw a Ghana football where there was transparency and the football people felt proud to be called as such. In my dream, I also saw a Ghana football where you didn't need to be the friend of the president to benefit from his administration. But I thought that if I don't share this dream with you, you wouldn't know what I saw in my dream. And if I share with you and I don't articulate it properly, you won't be able to help me achieve that dream. Please, all I'm asking is that we look beyond our individual interests in choosing a leader. I'm just 36 years old. In 4 years, I'll be 40 years and still young to contest. But the children who are 16 years today, in 4 years will be 20 years. That will be 4 years of their football career gone. If they have an average football career of 12 years, that is a third gone. Imagine us in this room, locked up here. People have tried to open the door
3 minutes
for us to go out. They couldn't. I've come with the right key and they say it's not yet your turn. Allow me to unlock this door of opportunities so that we can all go out in freedom and benefit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nanayo Amponsa. Our next speaker candidate is Brother George Ankuma Mensah. Quiet, order, please. Let's hear him.
President of the Normalization Committee, members, dear friends from FIFA, the past presidents of the Ghana Football Association, all members who love football, delegates, and our dear people assembled herein. You are called upon today to make a critical decision. That decision will either make you a kingmaker or a chaotic maker. After several years of chaos, and after several years of normalization, several months of normalization, now it calls upon you to make a decision that will ensure that your own future is secured. I want you to take a critical look at your circumstances. As somebody who has followed football all these years, take a critical look at the products we have, the state of our Premier League. Take a critical look at the pitches on which your players play. Take a critical look at the way in which no other facet of the game is brought to your doorstep as somebody who has put in so much for football. Take a critical look at the state of our infrastructure. Take a critical look at our administration of football in this country. Make a decision that will affect you directly. Make a decision that you will not regret. It is no time to put the administration of football in the hands of people who cannot manage it. You have to put it in the hands of competent people who have administrative acumen, who have international business, who has investment backgrounds, who will take you to the destination which you desire. I know you're listening. In your private moments, this is what you have thought about. Don't let anybody influence you. It is time for a great change. The wind of change is blowing, and I am the one to take you to that destination. I bring 30 years of investment commercial practice, and I give it free to the Ghana Football Association. Join hands with me, delegates. Let's do a new thing in Ghana football. We have suffered for so long. You need to be a beneficiary. I thank you for listening to me, and I know that as you are voting number 6, Asieho, you are doing so for your future, you are doing so for the good of football and the good of the people of Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawyer Kuma Mensah. Thank you. Now, I call upon now Dofole Note to come and give us details of the process of the voting.
Good morning once again. Article 81(2) of the statute.
Order, please. Let's give respect to the Congress.
As you are all aware, says that the Normalization Committee shall act as the Elections Committee for this particular elections. That is only during the first elective Congress, which is this one. So wherever I mention Elections Committee, I mean the Normalization Committee. Now, first of all, we come to the elections regulations. First of all, in terms of ballot papers, that's Article 14, the GFA, in collaboration with the EC, will produce, and I can assure you as I speak that the ballot papers are ready. Now, the ballot papers, we were asked to buy we were mandated to buy the elections regulations that we are to do different colors for each round. I'm hoping that we will not need the extra colored ballot papers I have printed this morning, or we have printed this morning. Now, before the start of the voting procedure, the ballot box, which is transparent, will be shown to you by the presiding officer, and it will be placed in a visible spot very close to the members of the Elections Committee. Now, during the entire process of voting, a member of the Elections Committee is required to monitor the ballot box. We have nominated our dear brother, Mr. Samuel Osei Kufuor, who can still play 90 minutes, very strong, to monitor the box. So think carefully. Now, this is the way the vote is going to be done. The chairman of the elections committee, or whoever he delegates, would call each delegate in turn using the roll of delegates that we have. You come to the front, you'll be directed by the presiding officers. You receive your ballot paper, make sure it is duly stamped by the Electoral Commission. It bears the stamp of the Electoral Commission. And then you will go to the voting booth. Now, for this I will read. Article 16(4) reads, the delegate then completes his ballot paper in the polling booth designated for this purpose. The polling booth shall be placed in a visible spot, but still allow the delegate to cast his vote secretly. No cell phones, cameras, or any other recording devices shall be allowed in the polling booth. And this one, the law according to now the Folenote, if I catch you, I will invalidate your vote. It's not here, but I still have some powers. I still have some hours left on my mandate. I will invalidate your vote. Please don't jeopardize the chances of your candidate by going in there and messing up. I beg you. On behalf of the candidate, we beg you. Now, the counting procedure, as soon as the polls are closed and everybody has cast their vote, a member of the elections committee, as the president will direct, will open the ballot box with the assistance of the presiding officer in front of all of you, and the count will commence. Now, these are general principles. That's Article 17. Only members of the elections committee, again, 81-2, the three of us, shall take part in the counting of the ballot papers. All operations, opening of the ballot box, counting of the papers, counting of the votes, shall be carried out in a way that can be followed clearly by all the delegates. We'll do it openly. You would see what is happening. I'm sure the cameraman would come close, and so everybody will see what is going on. No kululu. Now, I know that there will be no invalid ballot papers. Please take your time when you are thumbprinting. You will be. Okay. Please take your time when you are thumbprinting. We've given sufficient space. However fat your thumb is, there's enough space for it to fit in the box provided. So please, let's be careful. Now, if there are any invalid ballots, the chairperson of the elections committee will write on the back and state the reasons and confirm with his signature. Basically, those are the rules. I wish the candidates all the best, and I hope you would all vote wisely. All the best. Now, okay, that's Article 38. Sorry, I need my statute. Yes, Article 38. Yeah. In the unlikely event that there is a tie, Article 38 provides as follows. Now, Article 30 deals with elections. So it will be conducted by secret ballots. in accordance with the statutes, blah, blah, blah. We need a simple, we need a majority. That is 50 plus 1, or 6. So in this case, if you're all 120, then it means 61 votes. Yes, and now, in case of a tie in any of the elections, what is going to happen is let me just read it to you. I don't want to explain it. Now, Article 38 provides, in case of a tied vote in any elections, as we saw with the RFA yesterday, of any body of the GFA, 2 new ballots shall be conducted. So we get 2 more rounds in accordance with the procedure set forth in the present provision. If the tied vote remains, that is after the other 2, the relevant position shall remain vacant until the next, a new elective Congress convenes to proceed with new elections according to these statutes. Simply put, if we do the first round, there's no clear winner. We go again. Now, when we get to a point where we have a tie, and we are after 2, and we are unable to resolve it, we would have to declare the situation vacant, meaning that we will close Congress, we leave the position of president vacant until EXCO, which we already have a quorum for, can call a next elective Congress to elect a new leader. And it's only the 2 who have the tie who will stand in that election. I know it's unlikely and a bit far-fetched, but it did happen yesterday. So, yes, okay. Now, also, after the first round, if there is no clear winner, what will happen is the last person or the candidate that polled the least votes will come off. We change the ballot papers with a different color, and then we vote again. So we keep doing that until perhaps we'll have to declare the position vacant. But I'm very confident that today we will elect a new leader. Normalization will end. Amen.
All right, thank you, Now we all understand the procedure, so we will leave the stage. I will have the Electoral Commission and Mr. Asante will represent us, and then on the Elections Committee, Mr. Sami Kofo will be there with them to inspect. Thank you.
Still our coverage of the Ghana Football Association's presidential elections there. Pre-voting formalities have been completed. We've heard from the candidates one last time. We've also laid out the modalities for the process. It's now time for the showdown itself. The voting itself commences pretty shortly. And of course, that is not the only thing that has been happening at the elective Congress. One or two decisions have also been made in respect of having an 18-team Ghana Premier League for the 2019-2020 season after King Faisal and Accra Great Olympics were accepted back into Ghana's elite club competition. You remember that the two clubs have had pending issues with their relegation in previous seasons, and the Congress had decided that in the interest of calm and decorum, those two clubs be readmitted into the Premier League. There are one or two legal implications in respect of that, because this ought to have been carried out by a voting where they needed about 75% of Congress to agree. We understand that 64 members of Congress agreed, which represents about some 53%. And so it's not too clear how that works, but that is a decision that they've come to. And we'll be crossing over pretty shortly to get more in terms of the voting process itself. And Nathaniel Lato and as well as Gary Smith and George Addo Jr. are on the grounds. I'm talking about the College of Physicians and Surgeons. But let's check out what the candidates have been saying the lead up to these elections during their campaigns. What were their specific message?
As you guys have probably identified, we're all very unique aspirants. I mean, you can't even compare Kurt to me or me to Ankoma, because we're so different. We're not even on the same lane. We're all like running on our own lane. It just depends on whether the whether the delegates vote for us in the end. The campaign is going well. The public is really buying into my idea. The delegates are starting to buy into my idea, but ultimately, I really believe that the delegates cannot miss the fact that stakeholder engagement, public engagement is very important. And so the new face of the GFA would have to be one that the public agree with and the stakeholders agree with. And so I hope the delegates realize that they have a very specific role as football people, but the president is the face and the brand. And
So that was Amanda Akoko-Clinton speaking there, and of course, her message has been to the delegate to, elect a fresh face for the Ghana Football Association. And just by way of quick update, the Attorney General, Madam Gloria Akofo, is set to brief Parliament on the status of the probe involving the former Ghana Football Association president, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi. The president filed a complaint with the CID following the number 12 expose, which captured the former GFA boss using the president's name to lure some investors. The AG's briefing to the House next week is at the behest of the MP for Mion, Mohammed Abdul Aziz. So next week, we'll be getting word on the status of the probe on Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi. We cross over now and join my colleagues Nathaniel Lato, Gary Smith, and George Addo Jr. at the College of Physicians and Surgeons.
As has been said several times on the floor of the Congress, we have arrived at a crossroad, and of course the election will then pave the way for a new era of leadership within the Ghana Football Association. Here with me, as usual, is George Addo Jr. and Gary Smith of Joy Sports. We've been doing the discussions and doing some analysis as well. We'll be doing a quick recap and looking into detail, into full detail of all of the things that have been done so far on the floor of the Congress. Gentlemen, interesting thoughts on the floor. Key one amongst them, though, is the admission of two clubs from the second tier to the Premier League, which is Accra Great Olympics and King Faisal. Let's go into the dynamics and how all of this came about.
As viewers would know, the Ghana Premier League in Ghana is a 16-club league. That's one. Now, in previous years, we have had in one season King Faisal contesting their relegation In short, they were going for boardroom points. At another point, another juncture also, Olympics were going for that. Now this morning, the motion was raised that in order for us to stop those two clubs from coming into the future and taking us to the courts or to through any legal...
Or probably even, creating some form of disruption for this Congress.
Which other way you look at it, we should reinstate them into this season's league, play a special league, and then sort it out. So in the end, it went back and forth. Randy Abe pushed the motion. Lawyer Ntio Fiankon was not for it. He said it's not part of today's agenda, so we should shelve it for another time. But Randy Abe came and argued vociferously about why the delegates should do and talk about it at the moment. And so they did that, and by 64 votes, it was agreed that King Faisal and Great Olympics will be part of the new Ghana Premier League season for the 2019-2020 season. So as it stands, we'll have a special 18-club league, but in the 2020-21 season, we will revert to the 16-club league, which means that at the end of next season, instead of 3 relegated teams, we are going to have 5 teams relegated. So that's it.
Well, interesting stuff there. Let's now look at the implications for this voting process, which comes off very shortly. And as you can see in the main hall, the officials of the Electoral Committee are putting all of the logistics together on the main stage for this process to happen. Of course, delegates are also having their final conversations. Of course, decisions have been made, but anything can happen around this very last hour as well. Now, this explanation that Gary has given us has implications on this upcoming electoral process. And George, what does it mean? These switches that have been done now, the agreement of these 2 clubs coming into the Premier League.
So it means
what does it mean then for voting this afternoon?
It means that the Premier dimensions will change by that. I mean, the 2 clubs come into the Premier all of a sudden, and they have 2 votes each, so that's 4, a possible 4 available. And remember that what happened in the Premier League has had a trickle effect down there. And I think there's one team that's also moved into the Division 1, and all of a sudden, Division 1 has also had an added. So far, about 5 votes are available, the extra votes are available. And looking at how tight these things are, it could be really, really, really interesting with where it goes. I think that the Ghana Football Association, after the election, will have a bigger question to answer about whether they took the easier route out of this, because the 18-team league we're talking about will mean that we need a lot of money in terms of sponsorship before they can start, because all the clubs automatically have extra work to do in terms of their travels. So the bigger question will be answered after this election, whether they chose the easier route out because they were not able to deal with the court cases, or they were going to be lingering on for so long. They just cut it short and said, okay, let's make it an 18-team league. And ultimately, they may revert to a 16-team league or stay where it is, because 18 is like a middle ground. You're either moving to 20 to even up things, or you stay at 16. 18 is a bit tricky, and you will see how it plays out in how you relegate 5 teams. It'll be very, very interesting there.
Okay, so those conversations are for later, but right now, the major interest is who emerges tops at the end of the day. And, I'll draw backwards a little bit to when lawyer Na Odufole Norte was giving us the ground rules for voting. And, of course, she mentioned a bit about, a runoff, a possible runoff. Let's begin with what we've seen on the ground here. The movements of the delegates, their body language, the conversations that have gone on and everything. Let me begin with you, Gary. What have you picked up? I mean, the body language, the kinds of things that have been done, in these last minutes. You see people move out, go have conversations on the phone and all of that. What does that just tell you about these last hours?
Well, the last, as they like to say in local parlance, last minutes are dangerous. And it doesn't look like the 6 presidential candidates have had a lot of sleep last night. Even we, the journalists, have not had a lot of sleep, George. How much more,
no, we haven't.
The candidate. But essentially, there's been a lot of last-minute lobbying. If the rumors are to be believed, it's not just lobbying it's going on, but promise of power, promise of whatever it is has been done in the last minute. Typical election fare.
George, the final word before we wrap up this segment of our discussions. Does it in any way play in anybody's favor from the kinds of conversations that you've heard? What names are popping up here on the ground?
Yeah, I think a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, we said we had a clear favorite or we had clear favorites. The way things are going, there are probably 3 men or 4 men, let me say 3 men, right in this. We're looking around George Afriyie, Keto Kweku, and Nanaya Amponsa, what we're picking out from here. So it's a very tight road going into it, and you cannot still take Fred Papo out of the picture.
Okay, so interesting stuff there. We will be wrapping up this bit of it, and we'll be back at midday. So you stay tuned to us. Remember, we're bringing you full coverage of the elections here at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. As it stands now, all of the logistics are being put together in the main hall, as you can see on your screen. We will be back here with some analysis on the strengths that each of the candidates carry going into this election. This is Joy Sports and Joy News' coverage of the election 2019 right here.
The red, white one.
So there, my colleague Nathaniel Lato and George Adu Jr. and Gary L. Smith, of course, going through some of the developments that have gone on ahead of voting itself, and that we can say is currently underway. And of course, we'll be monitoring to see how it all goes down until the very end. Now, though, we need to hand over to Daniel Dazi, who comes through with the midday news here on the Joy News channel. Stay with us here for more on the Ghana Football Association's presidential elections. We are your election headquarters.